Hi guys, welcome to this video for lesson 9 for Friday, April 17th. My daughter turned 7 months on Sunday. Can you guys believe that? 7 months since Eva was born. Anyways, this is the second time I'm recording this video because the first time it was 28 minutes long and I had some technical issues and I'm going to re-record it and I'm going to go faster because you guys can always pause and rewind this. So hopefully you are using those skills that technology provides us to take it to your advantage, right? So let's go ahead and get started so this video isn't longer than the first one. Today, we are talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. So you do need a piece of paper and a pencil. Because if you are not copying these down while you're watching, it's going to make it it's so much easier if you have this down on a piece of paper that you can check instead of going back to the video and that stuff, okay? So please take notes. You can always email me if needed. Our objective, I'm going to improve my multiplication and division with fractions. All right, step 1 for multiplying fractions is you want to change any mixed numbers to improper. Then you want to multiply straight across, and then you can simplify if needing. I'm going to move on, but if you want to write these down or pause the video. So pause the video, write these down. All right, we're not going to do an example number 1 because that one's pretty easy. We're going to start with example number 2. So unfortunately, I'm going to flip this tablet. So now you guys can see my this angle, which is not the best, but it is what it is. Okay, so first things first over here is that I notice that I have a negative. So I'm going to use this triangle or Mr. Multiple Division, Pizza Steve, and I think you guys had a different name for it too. I don't remember. So I have a negative times a positive, and I'm going to write my final answer here. So maybe I have my answer box here. So my answer is going to be a negative. That way, I wrote down my negative. As long as I write my fraction down there, then I won't forget that I did a negative. Okay, now I need to multiply straight across. I'm going to multiply the top numbers by the bottom numbers. So I have 5 times 9 is 45. And then 8 times 10 is 80. So we do need to simplify. So 45 and 80, what do they have in common? The 45 ends in a 5 and the 80 ends in a 0. That means that they are divisible or can be divided by 5. So 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 80 divided by 5 is, let's see, there's 1 in there. Minus 5 gives me 3. Bring down the 0, 6. So this simplifies down to 9 over 16. Can I go any further, 9 and 16? A lot of times we see that 6 and 16 and think it's divisible by 3, but it's not. Okay? So that's going to be my final answer, negative 9 over 16. All right, move on. Okay, here I have some mixed numbers in here. You know what? Let's skip this one. Let's do number 4 because it's kind of the same thing except with negatives, right? So with negatives, let's deal with them so we don't forget it. I have a negative times a negative. So my answer is going to be positive. My answer is positive. Okay. Now, I'm going to change these mixed numbers to improper. And to do that, I'm going to rock around the clock. So I'm going to start at the bottom. This is what I'm talking about, walking around the clock. I'm starting at the bottom, and I'm going to go all the way to the top. So I'm multiplying 4 times 5. So I'm doing 5. Oh, my word. Sorry, that's my technical difficulties. It's kind of one thing that was happening in the other video. It would skip back and forth. So hopefully I'm trying to avoid doing that as often. I don't know why it happens, but. So 4 times 5 plus 2, right? So 4 times 5 plus 2. This gives me 20, and then plus 2 is 22. And then my denominator is always 5. So it's just the same thing. I don't change the denominator. So now on this side, my denominator is going to stay the same. I do 8 times 3, which gives me 24, plus 7. 24 plus 7, 31. 31. Okay, so now I have to multiply the top numbers. 22 times 31. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Add the 0. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And I'm left with 682. Now, 5 times 4. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And I just realized that I said 5 times 4 when I meant 5 times 8, which gives me 40. All right, let's erase this work over here because I want to use it for my next piece of work because I do have to simplify. That's my last step though. So 682 over 40. I'm going to use the cake method. What number can they both be divided by? I notice that 682 ends in an even number and 40 ends in an even number. So that means that they can both be divided by 2. They can be split. So 682, 6 and 2, that's 3, 4, 1. And then 2 goes into 40, 20 times. And it cannot go further. So that's going to be my final answer. Oh. 341 over 20. Guys, we don't have to change it back to a mixed number. We can keep it in improper because now that you guys are in 7th grade and beyond, you're going to be using it to solve other things. So when you see fractions and equations or fractions and things, you're using it to do something else. So we can just leave it as improper. All right, let's do one more example with multiplication, and then we're moving on to division. I do see mixed numbers, so I'm going to rock around the clock with these. I'm going to change them to improper. I'm going to do 5 times 3 gives me 15, plus 2 gives me 17 over 3. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16 over 7. And guys, there's negative in there. So do you want to deal with it now or afterwards? Let's deal with it afterwards, but let's make sure we don't forget. All right, 17 times 16. Ooh, I have to do all of these divisions. So for some reason, while I'm doing this, my stylus, or on the PowerPoint, it keeps on changing to a laser pointer instead of the drawing tool, and I don't know why. That's what keeps on happening. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry the 4. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. Add the 0. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. Add those up, and I get 272. And then 3 times 7 is 21. And guys, we're not going to forget about the negatives. We have a negative. Actually, let's do this in a different color. So we're looking at this negative, and there's no sign in front of it. That means it's a positive. So my answer is going to be negative. See what I'm saying? It changes. I don't know. It's not like I'm touching anything. All right, let's go ahead and do some division. You know what? I just realized that I was going to have you guys do some of those on your own. So let's make sure I remember for here. Okay, dividing. The only thing that's new here is step 2. All the other ones are the same as multiplication. So go ahead and pause this slide. Jot down these notes. I'm going to move this guy here so you can see what's in green. jot them down, and then let's do some examples. Okay, let's skip that example. Here we have 4 over 9 divided by negative 1 over 3. So let's go ahead and deal with our negatives. Just because I remembered we have a positive and a negative. So our answer is going to be a negative. So if we write our answer here, it's going to be negative. All right. So I'm going to keep my first fraction as 4 over 9, change it to a multiplication, and then I need to flip it. My husband is trying to make me laugh, which he succeeded. All right. So now we just multiply straight across. Oh, okay. So lost my train of thought. Thank you, husband, right? So I keep the first one of 4 over 9. I change the division sign to a multiplication, and then I am flipping the fraction. So instead of 1/3, I'm putting the 3 on top and the 1 on the bottom. All right. So then multiply straight across. What? Multiply straight across. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times 1 is 9. So now 12 and 9 do have something in common. Do you guys know what it is? It's 3. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So my answer is going to be negative 4/3. So it's a good thing I wrote my negative up here. All right, let's go ahead and do this example. Except I'm going to change it. I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to rewrite it. Yeah, we're just going to erase this too. So instead of doing this example, we're going to do 4 1/2 divided by negative 2/7. So I realized all of my examples had 2 mixed numbers, but what happens if you have only one mixed number and then a regular number? Well, we just have to move one of them. So I'm going to change it to improper. So I have 4 times 2 gives me 8, plus 1 is 9 over 2, and we're dividing that by negative 2/7. All right, now I want you to pause this video and try it on your own. Welcome back. So I'm going to keep the first one, change it to a multiplication. And we're going to flip these. So I have 7 over 2, and I don't forget my negative. All right. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. I have 9 times 7, which gives me 63, and 2 times 2, which gives me 4. But I did have a negative in there, so I need to make sure I do that. So negative times a positive gives me a negative. Notice how I don't have the multiplication sign triangle here, so I drew it on my own. So I have a negative. Let's see, 63 and 4 have anything in common? No, they don't. So that's going to be my final answer. All right, guys, I want you to try this one on your own. Pause the video. Try it from the start. All right, welcome back. We're going to rock around the clock. So or improper numbers should be negative 15 over 7 divided by this improper number should have been 8 over 3, which is also negative. Now I can keep change flip, so I'm going to keep the first one as negative 15 over 7, change it to a multiplication and flip it, so I have negative 3 over 8. So notice how the negative just stays in front. So if you haven't dealt with the negatives yet, that's okay. A lot of people ask me, hey, when I flip it, where do I put the negative? You just put it in front. There's only one negative sign there, so you just keep it right in front of the fraction bar. Okay, the whole thing is negative, so you don't have to worry about moving the negative sign. All right, now let's multiply straight across. So we have 15 times 3 gives me 45, and then 7 times 8, 56. And I do have to use Mr. Multiple Vision because I do have some negatives there. So I have a negative times a negative. Y'all, this is getting annoying with the technical difficulties. I don't know why it's doing that. It just switches from slide to slide. It's frustrating for me, and I bet it's frustrating for you. But anyways, my answer is negative. 45 divided by 56. Now, do they have anything in common? Let's see. What are my multiples of 4? So I have a 3. So 45. 3, 15, 5, 9. Yeah, nope. It's final. All right, let's see. What are we going to do? Oh, here's a joke of the day. It says, it's the guy from Division. Looks like we're downsizing. So this is a play on words. The word downsizing, if you haven't heard that before, is used a lot in the business world for when companies like get smaller. So like, for example, nowadays, like during this quarantine, a lot of companies are letting people go or furloughing them. So they're downsizing to make their company smaller. And the joke is that division, when you divide two numbers, it gets to a smaller number. So for example, if you have 16 divided by 4, we're making that smaller, right? So that's the joke. What's your assignment? You're going to do Math Facts Pro 2 times to practice your multiplication facts. And then you're going to complete lesson 9, multiplying and dividing fractions quiz. You can only do this 3 times. So if in the first attempt it goes wrong and you don't get a good score, make sure that you are watching that video again and seeing if you're making those mistakes with like in the negatives or like changing improper. See what you're making the mistake in and email me for help. Okay? So 3 times is the maximum amount. Right? You can always email us anytime. Next week's going to look a little different. We're going to have a video on Monday that covers the whole week, so it is going to be a longer video. Then on Wednesday, we're going to practice live, so that's when we're going to do some examples of what we talked about in the video. And then on Friday, there's going to be a quiz, kind of like your assessment. All right, guys, have a great day. I'm going to show you your Canvas. This is the link that you want to follow. You know what? I want to go back. Okay. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Miss you guys.